I didn't sleep last night, but you know who else doesn't sleep? Blackbeard. I have the capacity to eat multiple devil fruits, maybe also steal some other people's devil fruits. It's been confirmed. This is canon approved by Oda. So if you're not already informed by now, the way I do One Piece reviews since being caught up is I read them weekly live on my Patreon, and then when we're on break week is when I talk about all 3 chapters together in one video, which has worked out for me previously, but it's a lot to cover lately because Oda's doing so many amazing things. We've got a lot to discuss. But if you're interested in seeing live reactions, hanging out with me week to week, for some reason, my Patreon is in the description of the video. Shameful plug over. Oda has been doing amazing things in these last few chapters, and I'm so excited. We have so much to discuss, and I am, as always, going to be discussing things very out of order, but on purpose. So, first of all, let's talk about the Seraphim, because this has been an awesome reveal. First of all, Luffy and company have been looking real good lately. They've been getting stronger, they've been proving their ability, and as I look forward to this final war, I have been thinking, okay, between how strong they've gotten, they have so many allies behind them now with the Grand Fleet, with Shanks, with Rayleigh, with potentially Buggy, I don't know. Could happen. With so many powerful people behind them, it's looking good. And in the last few chapters, Oda has been doing the work to make sure to show us what the other side has been doing to get stronger as well. And it's been very effective, but there's a lot of layers to it as well. Now, the topic of the Seraphim has been discussed a ton over the last couple of weeks, and we don't know if they stopped at the warlords. Did they just make the 7 warlords? Did they just make the current warlords before they disbanded the system? Did they go so far as to also, are they planning on making emperors? Could it be even wider than that? There's a lot of implications and a lot of possibilities that Oda could take this, different directions that Oda could take this in. But the thing that I most want to fixate on right now is the fact that they wanted to go to the island of women and they sent the Boa Seraphim. And that is an intentional choice. That was a choice that they made, which tells me that not only are they replacing the warlord system with replicas of the warlords that they could control, I'll come back around to why I put quotes around this. Not only are they doing that, but they're also aware of the psychological implications of what they're doing. They're aware of the fact that when they send a child boa lookalike into the island of women for mass destruction, her people who follow her and who grew up with her and who love her and consider her family paused and couldn't fight back, at least for a moment. They could have sent any of their Seraphim. They could have sent any of the replicas that they have made. They chose Boa. They made a choice. And it's because they're aware of what they're doing, which has me spiraling because one of my patrons pointed out that because all they need is the DNA of Lunarians, then feasibly anybody that they've had an alliance with, they could have one. We could have a Kaido Seraphim coming. We could have a Big Mom Seraphim coming. We could have a Shanks one. But even more so, and this is the thing that they pointed out to me that I don't appreciate, anybody that was in their in captivity could also be a Seraphim, which means they could intentionally, because they understand the psychological implications of what they're doing, they could unleash an ace and have him attack Luffy. And that would be some real psychological warfare right there. So there's a lot of opportunities for how this Seraphim stuff could go. They obviously have strength on their side, but they also have the reality that they look like people that we know and love and care about. Whitebeard could show up. I mean, like, the opportunities, like, yes, there are going to be warlords, and I hope there's a buggy one, but there's a lot of opportunity here for a lot of trauma to be thrust upon me. Speaking of Seraphim, Blackbeard arrives on the scene during this whole kerfuffle. And again, lots of stuff going on here with the fact that Blackbeard is here and with everything that could potentially be going on with Blackbeard, the role that he could be playing in this final saga. But the thing that I want to fixate on is the fact that Blackbeard identified the Lunarians, the Lunarian DNA in the Seraphim immediately. We know that Vegapunk at one point had a hold of Kaido and was experimenting on him, and we believe, or I don't know what the world believes, a large chunk of us believe that Momo's devil fruit that he ate came from that experimentation. It's not a smile fruit, it's not a normal devil fruit, it's something different that Vegapunk did. And he did it, we assume, in that time that he was experimenting on Kaido. I'm kind of playing with a theory that the reason Blackbeard has all these anomalies about him, the fact that he can eat more than one devil fruit without dying, the fact that he doesn't sleep, the fact that people say that his body is built different, all these different things about him that we don't have any explanation for, that potentially Vegapunk has gotten a hold of him before we saw him as a child, and Shanks and Buggy were speculating that he was weird and has done some modifications on his body. But what I do know is that Blackbeard recognized the Lunarians the moment he saw the Seraphim. He said, "Whoa, are you kidding me? White hair, brown skin, black wings?" He recognizes them the moment he sees them. The point is, he clearly isn't in the know of what's going on with why the Seraphim were created or what that means, but he did recognize them. And it's possible that while Blackbeard was being experimented on, Vegapunk also had some Lunarians in his lab too, and that's why Blackbeard's aware of them. If not, then I have to spiral in a whole other direction and I have to start wondering about what his connections are to Lunarians, because there was a connection established as soon as Blackbeard came on the scene. I also want to note that Blackbeard came into the scene saying, "I'm not going to let the Navy have your power," which means that he was aware that the Navy was trying to take Boa's power. Now, the assumption would be that Vegapunk wants Boa captured so that he can do whatever he did to her, or so that he can do to her whatever he did to Kaido in order to manufacture another version of her devil fruit and give it to the Seraphim Boa. That would be my assumption. I assume Vegapunk wants to do this with all of them. I wonder if he's already done it with Blackbeard, and there's gonna be a Seraphim Blackbeard that can do the black hole thing. I don't know. I have many, many questions. I'm just excited about it all, really. Because I think Oda has set us up to be able to go in basically any direction, and there are a lot of really cool options here. Anyway, this panel where Blackbeard is holding Boa up and Koby is kneeling before them trying to figure out what he can do to resolve the situation. All their people have been turned to stone. This is an incredible spread. It had all the impact. It was so good. But the thing that I want to fixate, where's my cup? The thing that I want to fixate on is the fact that we still don't know where Aokiji is. Did I say his name right? Sleepy Navy guy? We still don't know where he is. We know that he, at least allegedly, joined alliances with Blackbeard's crew. Yet, Oda intentionally, I think, did not draw him among the crew. However, there are some panels where the crew is just kind of like in the background, nondescript. So, we don't know why he joined Blackbeard's crew, allegedly. We don't know what his agenda is. We don't know if he's just turned full rogue and now he's fighting on the wrong side, or if there's an agenda there. I personally am of the opinion that he's a part of SWORD, and the reason he joined Blackbeard's crew is to go in undercover, and when Koby saw him in the background, among the background characters, he knew that he would be safe, that he would be protected among Blackbeard's crew, and so he surrendered himself to be captured by Blackbeard with an agenda to connect with Aokiji and for them to make a plan moving forward, probably to trade information, all that jazz. I think he surrendered. I think he gave himself up because he wants to connect with Aokiji, trade information, and then Aokiji will get him out. I'm not worried about him I think he's doing great, actually. Speaking of hits that keep on coming, Rayleigh then entered the chapter, and his entrance was 10 out of 10. I actually am of the opinion that his entrance was even better than Shanks' entrance, and Shanks had a great entrance in his chapter appearance, but Rayleigh stole the show in this chapter. Walking in and immediately insulting Blackbeard, issuing commands and saying, "You all do these things, I'll mediate." He walked into the room, shot down the strongest man in the room, and then told everybody what to do and said, "I'm gonna be the mediator here." And everybody listened. And at the end of it, he then said, "Yeah, if I actually did a 1v1 with Blackbeard, there's no way I would win." Which I love that his presence is so infamous that just him being there and saying something is enough to make everybody say, "Okay, fine, I'm done fighting now." Even though he can't back it up anymore in his old age, although I'm sure he could still do a lot. I love that he is that infamous, that he is that powerful, that he can just diffuse the whole situation with a word and not have to back that up, because he couldn't. I'm also fascinated by the fact that Rayleigh and Boa have such a strong connection. Obviously, she clearly trusts him. He came in for her, to protect her. Oh no, what's his lady love's name? Shaky or Shaky, whatever that shortened version of her name, however you pronounce it. I also find it fascinating that she used to be the leader of the Amazon Lily pirates. It doesn't really hold any significance to what we're talking about right now, but I just like that piece of lore, and that just makes her that much cooler, and she was already awesome. Now let's just hop over to chapter 1061, because we got introduced to Bonnie. She's caught in a cyclone, Zoro cuts it in half, we get her out, and I could not be happier about her introduction because I have been waiting. The one thing that I want more than anything else in all the answers, all the questions that we have, answers that we need, the one biggest thing that I need is more information on Kuma. So much is wrapped up in that man. I want to know his history. I want to know his backstory. I want to know about when he was a king. I want to know about his connection to Bonnie because that was established a long time ago. And there's so many mysteries wrapped up in Kuma's story. So the moment we saw Bonnie, I got so excited because that means we are going to get a Kuma flashback in my mind. That's what I was thinking. But Oda has only provided even more opportunity to learn about Kuma since then. In this chapter, we also got flashes of the babies from Punk Hazard, Tashigi. We got knowledge about a couple more members of Sword and saw them begging to be able to take the Seraphim to be able to rescue Koby. We got introduced to Doll, which I don't know what purpose she serves, but she looks great. But the thing that I obviously want to fixate on is what happened at the very end of this chapter. A giant, awesome robot. The design is so cool. It beat up a shark, it carried our ship, it looks amazing, and I love it. Also, we got introduced to Vegapunk. Maybe. This reveal was amazing with Vegapunk stepping outside of the robot, complaining that living beings are hard to control, which is why the shark didn't do exactly what Vegapunk wanted. And then the character design reveal, the cool headphones with the antenna, and saying, "You can call me Dr. Vegapunk." Oh man, I didn't expect it. I didn't know we were finally going to meet this character that I have been anticipating meeting for far less time than all of you. So kudos to us all, but mostly you. I'm so excited because I was so thrilled that we were going to get more information on Kuma, that we were going to get some good lore, we were going to get some great answers to questions that we've been asking for so long through Bonnie. And then he said, "Hang on, I've got something better for you. It's time to meet Vegapunk." Now, obviously, this reveal here, I fully expect there to be more to it. Vegapunk has been, the story has been using he, him pronouns for Vegapunk, called him an old man. I think we've even seen, we've seen silhouettes for Vegapunk. Did not look like this. So we've got lots of options. This could be Vegapunk's daughter. This could be Vegapunk, the true Vegapunk, he has the ability to move himself into other bodies. So this could be a new body. This body is obviously young, so the fact that Vegapunk has been working for so long on so many things and has been called an old man, obviously this isn't the original body. So just maybe he can move his consciousness to another body. This Vegapunk on page does have a number 2 on her dress, which all of Vegapunk's experiments that we saw in this chapter had a number on them, indicating that there's more than one. So another indication that this is not Vegapunk's original body. Is he in this body? Is this another robot? Did a robot come out of a robot and we still have a man to come out of this robot? Is it robots all the way down? So many potential things that could be happening here. But the thing I want to fixate on is the fact that Vegapunk said it's so hard to control living beings. Now, this was not an unintentional line. This was not just like a throwaway, oh, I couldn't control the shark, so I'll acknowledge it. No, this was purposeful. We just learned that the Navy, with Vegapunk's help, is building up an army of Seraphim, replacing the entire structure of the warlords with these new Seraphim, and will probably plan to use them against Luffy whenever that time comes. And then we meet, immediately after that, we meet the creator of these Seraphim, who openly says, yeah, I can't control living beings. How are these Seraphim made? Are they robots? No! They are made of DNA. They are living creatures, as far as I'm aware. Vegapunk has taken the DNA of 2 living people, Boa and the Seraphim. Nope, the Lunarians, and somehow created a new being. They were born in a lab, yes, but they are sentient. They are living, breathing, conscious people. And Vegapunk cannot control them. I think that is significant, and I'm just waiting to see what Oda does with it. I wonder if some of these Seraphim are going to end up joining our side, if they're going to be questioning things. He loves to explore themes in his arcs, and this would be a really interesting one to discuss. Even if this isn't going to be a theme, I just want to acknowledge that Vegapunk cannot control these Seraphim completely, which means that they are not just mindless machines, which also means that Kuma is not just a mindless machine. Yes, he's basically a shell of what he once was. Yes, the intention was to completely remove his consciousness, remove his ability to think for himself, and turn him into a machine. But Vegapunk cannot entirely control living beings, which Kuma still is. Either way, regardless of what direction the story is going to take, what we can pretty much bank on is the fact that we are about to get some amazing lore dumps. Having Bonnie and Vegapunk here at the same time, this is Frankie. He spent his time skip with Vegapunk's research and experiments, so he probably has a lot of information that he could potentially give us. We should be getting a lot of information. And here's the thing, I think that Oda has set this up brilliantly because Oda has so many open threads, and he is an intentional writer. Yes, sometimes he makes decisions by the seat of his pants. Sometimes it seems like he doesn't know what direction he's gonna go in, but Oda is such an intentional writer, and he has so many lore threads open right now, and he has positioned this story in the perfect place to just tie so many of those threads together, back to back to back to back. Like these next several chapters, I think we're going to be getting reveal after reveal after reveal that's going to make this world come together, make the lore make sense. We're going to be getting so many answers to so many questions that we've been asking for so long. And I'm just so excited. The potential in the short term and in the long term for what Oda's been doing, what he's been doing in these last several chapters, the potential that it has created is so exciting. But also there's a Navy ship on its way to Egghead Island, which, you know, could also cause some complications. We also have to acknowledge the very strong parallels between what has just happened, Egghead Island and all that, with Punk Hazard. Punk Hazard is Vegapunk's old island. We're now on the new island. Frankie is here this time, so he could probably give us a lot more answers than he could have back in Punk Hazard. In the chapter where we entered Egg Island, Oda decided that it was important to throw Tashiki and the babies in there, even though they were totally irrelevant to this chapter. They served no purpose. They did nothing. There was no reason to have them here other than the fact that they were here at the same time that we entered Egg Island, just drawing more parallels to Punk Hazard. We've got a member of the worst generation here with us again, like we did last time. And there's probably more. There's probably a lot more. I just don't know what they would be. I've spent a lot of time on this whole section. So let's move on to the other big thing that happened, which is that apparently Sabo died again. I think this scene was phenomenal. I think that I think that Oda's so good at making things very cinematic, and he did a great job with this one, with us not knowing where Sabo went, and then the kind of abstract discussion with the elders and them saying, where did he go? Oh, he's there? Oh no. It's like fate. And it's because they consider it fate because Sabo ended up in the exact place that they were about to erase from existence. We have the panels of Emu crossing it off the map, and then the rays, whatever it is that happened, and then the dramatics of Sabo on the snail phone or the snail comm with Dragon shouting, "The throne is not empty," which I think Sabo knew what was about to happen. I think he knew that this island was about to be obliterated, because why was he speaking with such urgency? Why was it so important to him to get that information across as quickly as possible? There was a serious urgency, and I think it's because he was fully aware of what was about to happen here, which has my mind spinning. Why was he there if he knew that it was going to happen? I personally don't think that everybody died here today for many reasons. One, it's Oda and we're not in a flashback. But two, also, it's just not really in Oda's style to reintroduce Sabo, to give him so much emphasis in, little ways spread across, but he's on our minds. He's been getting a lot of focus, a lot of emphasis. He got Ace's devil fruit, was called the new Flame Emperor. His infamy was greater than dragons. People were going crazy over him, and then we just snuff him out before he really does something significant for the story. Now, I like that kind of storytelling because I like storytelling where it feels like a character truly could die at any moment. They don't have to have a satisfying arc. They don't have to play a significant role in the resolution of the story. They could just be there, we could be attached to them, and then they're gone, because that's life, baby. But that's not Oda's storytelling style. What is Oda's storytelling style is fake out deaths. And we're doing it again. I like to think that them saying this island never existed isn't them saying we're not going to talk about it because it's gone now. I've evaporated it. I've wiped it off the map. It's gone. Don't talk about it again. I like to think that this ability, whatever ability Emu has, is that he can remove it from the map and put it in some in-between. It's no longer on the map as we know it. It's no longer in this world as we know it. In another dimension, in a different space and time, all that kind of stuff. And it can be retrieved, and it will be. And Sabo is somehow aware of this. He saw Emu on the empty throne. Somehow he got some sort of information that he needed, and he knew that he needed to be here in order to be taken off the map with the rest of them for some reason. To help them, maybe? I don't know. Obviously, it also makes me wonder why we need a buster call if we have this ability. Maybe this is something that, Emu doesn't step in for the little things. He only steps in when it's something really important, which makes me wonder what was so important about this island. What did it have that Emu wanted gone? Why didn't we use something like this or a buster call on Wano? I think it's because there was an ancient weapon there and they want it. They want to get it. which is why they didn't just wipe it off the map. But they do have these incredible powers of mass destruction in the Buster Call and now in this, and there's a reason they're not using these things on places like Wano, and I think that we should keep that in mind. I also feel like we need to not forget the fact that there is a giant straw hat frozen somewhere and Emu cares about it. Why? Why? I don't know. Anyway, those were all the big events. Now let's talk about some small things because I must. I love all the little tiny small things that Oda does. We'll start out with something that's actually really not that small, but also I don't care anymore. And that's the whole Yamato thing. Basically, we got the exact answer that I was hoping for whenever, if you look back at my last chapters review where I talked about the last 3 chapters before these 3, I mentioned that Luffy kind of like said something to Yamato, like look after him, that kind of made it look like they had had a discussion and they both knew that Yamato was really staying to help out Momo. And that's exactly what happened. So yay, I'm thrilled by that. I think that that's the only good direction that this could have gone in. I personally still don't think, I still don't like it. I still think that the order of events should have been that we watched it in person and this kind of like trick that Oda did, this kind of gotcha, this, oh, this is a terrible reason. No, I had a good reason the whole time. I just don't think I didn't like it. I didn't jive with it, but also I don't care that much. I'm thrilled though that there was a legitimate reason and the reason wasn't because it's basically the reason we got before. There's actually a legitimate reason and it's a good one. Yay. I loved the little discussion that we had between Marco and Luffy. This is all that I could have asked for. This is all I needed between these two. Marco really was a significant part of Wano. He may not have played as big of an action-packed role as I expected when I first saw him coming in, but he did. I mean, he knocked Big Mom's crew down the waterfall again, which I also have some feelings about Big Mom's crew being completely irrelevant to the entire arc, but he knocked them down again, which definitely helped us in the long run. He helped in the fights and held off. He did a lot of work in the fights. Even if he didn't get the spotlight, he did a lot of work. And he drew the emphasis of it's time to step back and let the true, I don't remember what the line was, but we're gonna let them take center stage. And you know, I just love that about Marco. I love that he's just very much like, it's time for the next generation to step forward and that he sees so much in them. Yeah, he's awesome, man. Anyway, this conversation between him and Luffy, of Luffy just kind of acknowledging, hey, you did a lot for us back there. And just that genuine smile, that genuine thanks. It's so simple. It's so simple, but it's exactly what Luffy should do in that moment. You know, it fits him so well to just acknowledge, you were really important to us. You really helped us. Thanks. And then Marco's reply to him, hyping him that Ace would be proud of him, and that genuine smile we got from him. Like, genuinely, this did more for me than what so little dialogue and so few panels should have done. But it was perfect. We got the whole thing with Zoro, with Luffy wanting to charge in and save Sabo, and Zoro being, you know, doing what he does whenever he is going to be the logical one and talking Luffy down, and Luffy's reaction to his past self when Zoro's like, what did you say in the past? And Luffy just kind of side-eyeing his old self and being like, I don't like what he used to say, which can relate. Old Murphy knew nothing, so I'm with you, Luffy. And then the crew, Luffy saying, fine, but let me be mad about it. And then the crew reacting to Zoro with their thumbs down and the faces they're making at him, calling him names. Zoro and Sanji fighting in the background. Oh man, this is the crew little moments that I wanted from the beginning of this saga, and I couldn't be happier. Oh my goodness. Robin saying that the paper, when she was keeping Luffy up to date on a few things, and she was like, there are some other names connected to you in this paper. Do you want to know about them? And of course, Luffy's reaction is, nah, you handle all that stuff, which, it's great because it feasibly withholds some things from us. It makes sense for his character. Robin is always going to be the information person. It makes sense for why Robin doesn't divulge certain information to Luffy, even though she should be telling me. And I just have feelings about this, but also I want to know, who are those names? Who is it? I love this little, I love this, just this little bitty thing when they have the terrible weather and Chopper has the little hat and Robin goes, oh, what a fashionable choice, Chopper. And he says that he got it from Tama. I think Chopper is so cute in this little section. And I just love that Robin is always hyping him. Robin, no matter what's going on, is always taking the time to tell Chopper that he's doing great. In chapter 1061, Jinbei did amazing for the crew. Him taking action, issuing orders, telling the crew what to do, and then jumping in and saving Luffy and Chopper in the water, which, you know, it's just a great day to be a fan of Jinbei. It's a great day. I love that as soon as he joins the crew officially and as soon as we're out of the giant battles, he's immediately showing how day to day he is a leader, he's important, and he's taking care of our crew, and he belongs here with us, and I loved that for him. Oh yeah, whenever Bonnie asked Luffy why his hair was white in his wanted poster, and Luffy's response was, oh, that's what I look like when I'm free. You know, there's no reason that should have hit me just right, but it did. And then, I guess we could talk about Luffy's dream in this video, because that was another kind of big thing that happened. I really actually thought that we were gonna hear it. All the build up, all the I don't know. We've had this scene before of Luffy, it looks like he's about to say what his dream is, and then it cuts it off, and we just get Sabo and Ace's reactions. So this time, I thought we were gonna actually do it. But no, it cuts off, and we see the crew's reactions. Now, Oda did make sure to note that Shanks knows about Luffy's dream, and Ace and Sabo. So Sabo and Shanks are two people outside of our crew that are aware of the dream. I think that matters. Shanks did pass off the hat to Luffy, and I feel very confident that Shanks was fully aware of what the Gum Gum fruit truly was before Luffy ate it. And I don't know. Shanks knew that Luffy had the same dream as Roger. And I think that matters. Now, what is his dream? I don't know. I mean, I know everybody's theorizing right now, and I know that there are a lot of theories out there about it being a party, or it being a celebration, or it being uniting the people, freedom, all that stuff. I don't know. I just feel like if his dream is going to be freedom, or if his dream is going to be unity between all people, then the crew wouldn't react with, huh? What? No, that's impossible. What's wrong with you? No, it's gonna be something more abstract than that. I think that whatever his dream is going to be, whatever that thing is, it will be something that encompasses, that is in relation to, that's partnering with freedom, unity, all those themes of the entire series. But I also think it's just not Oda's style to do the most obvious thing. And his dream being a big party, or his dream being to unify all the races, if his dream is something so simple like that, then that's obvious. That's the theme of the story. That's the major conflict of the story. That's what we're doing here. So if his dream is that, then when it comes time for us to have that build up and to have that scene again, and then this time we actually hear it, if it's just unity or a big party, I just don't think that that's going to be satisfying for us. And I also don't think that that's Oda's style. So I think it's going to be something abstract and odd that none of us are thinking of, that also encompasses the themes of One Piece. Now, what is it? I don't know. I choose to shoot down all theories while providing none of my own. But it could also be a party. I mean, it could be whatever. Anyway, this has been too long, so I'll stop. These 3 chapters were awesome, and the next 3 chapters are probably going to be even better. What a time to be a One Piece fan. What a time to be caught up week to week. I couldn't be happier. This is amazing. I post videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on this channel, Tuesdays and Thursdays on the second channel, which is linked in the description. If you want my live reactions to chapters, the Patreon is linked in the description as well. Or you can just hang out with me once a month when I come and do this. Chat with me in the comments about what your favorite part of these chapters were and what you're most looking forward to in the next 3 chapters to come. I post videos, I already said that part. Bye.